Hello. Welcome to the Script Mistress Podcast, where we dive into the world of screenwriting. I'm your host, Amber Bosworth. In this episode, I sat down with the winner of our first ever short feature challenge in November, Shirley Nichol. Now, to keep yourself informed about podcast events and challenges, please join my mailing list at thescriptmistress.com. Sign up there. Additionally, you can find this entire episode on video at thescriptmistress.com/scene 53, where you'll also find a delightful download to help you along your screenwriting journey. I did start a YouTube channel a while ago. So if you're watching on that, I have the link in the show notes if you're listening to the podcast and would like to watch the video, but you don't have to. Well, I launched the first short feature challenge in November. Over 20 writers were challenged to write a complete feature within 30 to 60 pages. Amazing. They had 30 days to complete a full feature with a beginning, middle, and end. This challenge also came with a prompt. Actually, in this, we set the challenge on 3 different prompts from 3 different areas, and that had to be used in their script, all 3 prompts. Her script, titled Untethered, is about a troubled middle schooler who travels through a wormhole into a fantastical world where she will discover the true meaning of family. Shirley expertly blended fantasy with reality and created a script that will be incredible on the screen. Now, please, it's such a good script. You can read the whole thing at thescriptmistress.com/ink winners. I have her and the other 2 finalists there where you can download their scripts and read them if you would like. I really loved this script. It was so amazing. And when they submit the scripts, I don't know who it is. They submit them anonymously, and then I go back and then I look later after the winner has already been chosen. And I know Shirley will talk about it, but she has been wanting to write this for a very long time, and this provided her with the opportunity to do that. So let's hear her talk all about it. Enjoy. All right, everyone, I am here with Shirley Nichol, who won our first ever short feature screenplay challenge, where you guys had to go from 5 pages to up to 60 pages. It was so incredible to read everybody's script. So let's just get right in there. Shirley, I know you're not a you're not a stranger to this interview. So tell us a little bit about this script.
Okay, well, I've never written a fantasy before, but I attempted to once. I tried to write this script one time, uh, many years ago, in a narrative form, and it just didn't work.
Mm.
And but when I saw the images, the 3 images that you posted, I thought, oh, that would fit perfectly in with this fantasy that I've always wanted to write. So yeah, so it's about a young girl who, her life is fractured, and she falls in a hole and she ends up in another world, and it's kind of based on like a Wizard of Oz or the Narnia series that I loved as a kid. So anyhow, I've always loved using my imagination, and it was a way to express myself. So it was fun. It was fun to write.
Yes, yes. No, I loved it. And I mean, I know you had talked a little bit about doing a fantasy. So, me reading it, I'm like, okay, so I could kind of tell whose it was, but that never really sways me either way. But when you were writing this, did you envision it as like an animation or somewhat animation, or did you see it as full real? Like,
Well, I wrote it, I saw it as full real, but
yeah,
I'm realistic, and I know that in order to make a movie like that, it would cost,
yeah.
a gazillion dollars.
That's
That's
so
why I was actually surprised that I was picked. I was like, oh no, she'll never pick up fantasy. Yeah. But yeah, it was Yeah, I could see it. I could see it animated for sure. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it could definitely be animated. And yeah, that's like I don't have a little thing on there that says budget. Like
Right.
like I feel
Thank God.
like, I mean, for these, it's like, I think, if we did a budget or if it's like, keep it under a certain budget, I think that would just pigeonhole people too much. And I'm like, if you ever did work with a producer, you could work on that with them instead of
Right.
a challenge
Right.
where you're using this to help your creativity and to make it better as a writer, not so much worrying about like how much it's going to cost. All right. So this is now your second win with Ink to Screen.
Yay.
Yes. So like through this, I know like has your process changed at all with writing for Ink to Screen? I know it was a little bit of a longer time than just 5 days, but
Yeah, and I think with this challenge was so much fun for me because I think I've been frustrated in the past with 5 pages because it's very hard to develop character and plot and wrap it all up in 5 pages. But it really has taught me it's tremendous exercise to do because it's taught me how to write lean. And I'm a retired interior decorator, so I love writing description. I could go on and on and on, and and it's like, oh my gosh, it's 5 pages already, and I got to go cut things off, and that's usually what I cut is the description, and it forces you to, pick one or two words that describe something rather than a whole paragraph. So
yes,
yeah,
yes.
so that was, but it was so much fun to write the 60 pages because I was like, I was trying to write really lean, and then it was, oh, I don't have to. I can, take my time and stretch the scene out a bit more and put another character in, and, and it
Yes.
was so much fun.
Yes. And I just
I
want to
would love
tell
to do
oh yeah, there will be another one.
it again.
I
Yay.
promise, because that was I have a lot of people really liked it. So yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. So I really liked all of your characters, even though you had the 60 pages, all of your characters, I think this was something, all of your characters had a purpose. They weren't just in there just to be there. They actually had a purpose and they moved the plot along. That was really great. So that's one thing that especially in a 5-page script
Yeah.
where I'm like, why is that person in there in 5 pages? Like you
Right.
could do so much more with it. So we kind of touched a little bit on that, how it was different writing from a 5-page to a 60-page script. And we had some people that even had a little that could barely make the 30 pages. I had a couple people that wrote that were still kind of in the 20 pages, but I mean, they still got feedback. But you and a
And
couple
it's
others
hard.
got right up to that 60. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't believe I ended right at 60.
That
But
was
I could have, you know what I would love to do? I would love to expand it. I
mhm.
would love to take this and just, there's so much more I would love to do with this. And yeah, and it's forcing me to do that because otherwise, if it weren't for you, I would never have done this. So thank you.
Well, do you feel like, because I know you had talked about before, like wanting the challenge to write a little bit of a longer, did this kind of give you more confidence in your ability to write a longer script?
Well, definitely. And
Yeah.
winning is like, wow, that's yeah,
Hmm.
that's very nice. So
Yes.
yes, and actually I went back and looked at some of my other old writing, and there is another script that I would love to write. And I wrote an outline for it and never wrote it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's spurring me on to do this again for sure.
Good, good. That's great. I love hearing that. So what was your biggest challenge while writing this screenplay?
Ah, there were quite a few. Well, first of all, the ending, I didn't know how it was going to end. I kind
Oh,
of thought she would go back to her world. I knew that right from the very beginning that
yeah.
that's what was going to happen. And as I was writing it, it just came to me at the very end, the last few days, that Declan goes back with her, and then the think his name's Cyrus, the bad guy. So
That
yeah, so
guy.
he goes, yeah.
Mhm.
And then I thought, well, that's kind of cool because they go back and maybe there could be like a sequel because now, there could be
Mhm.
other things that happen with them going back and, maybe she could go back to that world, go in that fantasy world. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So how so the ending was the trouble. So did you just kind of outline it or
Well, I
um
outlined it to that she would go back, but
okay.
then it wasn't until I started writing it.
Mhm.
As you know, that can happen. It's, you're sitting and it's like, wow, it just kind of came to me. I think he's going to have to go back. And I couldn't figure out how that would work because there was
Mhm.
just the one stone. And then the whole idea with the slingshot, with
Yeah.
Pook slingshot. Yeah.
Mhm.
And my daughter, she always helps me with, she likes to edit. She's really good at editing
Oh,
my
that's good.
yeah. And her nickname growing up, my oldest son named her Pookie. Her name was Pookie. Her nickname was Pookie. So,
Oh,
so that's where Pook came
who
from. And
came
then she called
from?
me and she's like, he does. Yeah. She couldn't believe it. But so then I thought that was a way to tie in that character to the ending.
Yeah,
And that the stone would split into and
nice.
that and or split into three so that they could all go back. Um and yeah, I think another big thing that I am learning through you is present tense. And I thought that I had it, because I know how to do it. And I think what I'm going to do now, this will be a tip for me, especially, is before I submit it to go through the search and, find and replace is the word is.
Yes.
Because, in the script, I had a couple places where I would write, Lila is running rather than
Yes.
Lila runs.
Yes.
That's a challenge for me for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and you can, yeah, that's a or is or any ing words, like anytime like any verb when you put in an ing, it's like, oh, could I make this more active? It's like I know it people like it like he talked to her while drinking. Like why not he drinks and
Right.
talks,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So yeah, it makes it more active. And then because I do so much feedback, I get it's in my head, so it's like anytime it's not there, I'm like, ah, it's like a stop, it's like a
Sticks
speed
out.
bump. Yes,
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
speed bump. And you
Yeah.
have to think about like directors and producers and agents that read constant scripts all the time. They have the same wiring in their head, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like a little bit of a speed bump, like and that's an easy
Yeah.
fix. That's an easy fix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
The other thing I had was character names. I kept going back and I can't tell you how many times I changed character names. So yeah.
I think I tried to write a science fiction romance novel when I was younger, and
Wow.
I didn't make it past like 3 chapters because the names of like planets and races, and I'm like, oh my God, we didn't have AI, 20 years ago, so I didn't have so names for me are really tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
A
so I
challenge.
that's why I think I even told you in your feedback, like all the power to you with the names, and you did a really good job of, because sometimes when you read fantasy, the names kind of blur together if you don't have like a connection with them. And with your script, that didn't happen. Like your characters
Oh.
are very singular and very distinct to where they didn't blur together. I was like, who's that again? Where I had to go back up and kind of look.
Mm.
So I
It might be
appreciate
easier in a fantasy to do that because there's
it.
such strange characters to begin with.
Yes, exactly. And when you think about names, sometimes when you hear the name Shirley, it's like, oh, I knew a Shirley growing up. You make
Right. The
associations in your
association.
head. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you hear the name Pook or, other names like that. There's no real association. So it's harder for the brain to memorize or to recognize those. So, that's much more important to make the better characters as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So was there any a favorite scene in your script that you just
Oh,
loved?
You know what I really enjoyed writing was the cave scene. I had just been
Mhm.
to California, and I love caves, and I had just toured a cave, and so that came up, and so the scary, for me it was scary, the scene where she tries to run away, and she goes into a chamber with the bats,
Oh
and she
yeah.
just is like
Mhm.
orange lights or something on the walls, and
Yep.
then they come alive. So that was kind of fun to write.
Yes, no, and you said like as I was asking that, I could see the cave in my head too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any films or TV shows that influenced your themes or anything, or was there anything that kind of
Mm,
sparked?
no, but I love, and of course, I could never write anything like a Game of Thrones, or just that kind of a fantasy is just that just blows me away.
Yeah.
So I really didn't, base it on that, but like I said, it was more of a Wizard of Oz kind of, she goes
Yes.
into this other world, and she,
Mhm.
because I wanted to, and I think if when I do go back, I do want to rewrite this. I will explore her. The other problem I had was that I know in a screenplay by page 10 you kind of want the point of no return. It's kind of like
Yes.
something has to happen, and so that had to be where she goes into this other world.
Yeah.
So then to develop her character in 10 pages was even, and I think I put, way too much in there. I would definitely cut some things and maybe expand them a bit more. I
Mhm.
did when I first wrote it too. I had a scene in school. She's in the cafeteria, and, she's being girls
Mhm.
are being mean to her. They're not including her. And I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to cut that, because I think I got the message that
Yeah.
she's she's not really fitting in, and she's
Mhm.
not really happy in school, and she's not really happy at home. And so yeah, I think that too is very challenging. How do you, in the first, opening scenes, develop that character where you want to feel for her. Like I wanted, I would want readers to go, oh, I hope something good happens to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's you also have to understand the motivations too, like maybe understanding the reason why she might not want to come back. That's a big
Right.
thing where people with motivations, I read a lot, like even in the 5 pages, I'm like, the motivation is not there. Like, I don't understand why this person did such an extreme thing when that motivation wasn't there. So you did and that's a good job of making that. And that's like when 5 pages, you have to make it so extreme that it makes sense in 5 pages, where 60 pages, you get a little bit more leeway to kind of develop that. But I think you're right. I think you did a good job at describing her in how she didn't fit in her world, and that having this other world kind of show and contrast, I think was perfect.
Thank you.
Now, is there any particular genre that you have yet to try but
Mhm.
haven't yet that you want to? A little nervous
You
about?
know, you know what's so wonderful with the 5 page screenplay is I've really tried a lot of different
Yes,
things.
yes, you have.
I've tried comedy, I tried a murder, but I would
Mhm.
really love to do a detective. I would love
Oh,
to write it, but in 5 pages, I don't think I could. Well, maybe
yeah.
I could try. I could try. But yeah, because that really a detective story is, there's so many different characters that
Yes.
have to be developed, and backstories, and and
Mhm.
that would be a real challenge. But I love watching detective
Mhm.
stories. I love, because one of the reasons why I started to write too, I would watch these shows with my husband, and I would tell him what's going to happen. I could figure out
Yeah.
who was the killer, or who,
Yep.
and,
Yep.
and sometimes, and even if it didn't work out the way I thought it would, I would think, well, gee, I could write that, and I could
Mhm.
make it even better. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, that's my ego, right? Little did I know how difficult it is.
Yes.
But yeah, that would be fun to do. It's just the motivation for me
Yeah.
to sit down and write is that's why I love doing your challenges,
Mhm.
because it forces me. The 60 page, I was every day I would be forced to sit down in the
Yes.
chair and go, okay, today I'm going to, even if I just do 5, 10 minutes, I
Mhm.
had to do something.
Yes.
So when I don't have a challenge, I have other things I like to do. So
Mhm. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
and that's where people sometimes ask me, like, why would I pay for that? Like, but that's where the motivation is. Like, some
yeah,
people
definitely
just need that extra motivation and
push.
yeah, that push and the incentive and the deadline. Because as writers, I mean, unless you have a publisher, you have an impending project, there's not really a deadline for anything. It's all in your own time,
Right,
you know?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that was the biggest thing for it. And I'm like, well,
And with your challenges, there's always, you may end up winning, and hey, you get some
exactly.
get some money.
Yes, so you can get some money and just we
That's a
just
nice
keep it.
motivation too.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. That's what I try. Were there any new tips that you would like to give out to beginning screenwriters?
I think for me, and especially I think for the 5 page, is uh, I think put action or a crisis or something at the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, and I've had to learn that the hard way. Um, but yeah, just it kind of, mm, put your characters right in the middle of something going on, so that draws the attention to for the reader.
Hmm.
Um, Otherwise, and I think what I used to do in the past was trying to develop a character, and okay, they do this, and now they're going here, and yeah, and that's boring. So I think that would be definitely one thing. Um,
Hmm.
and the is and ing, you know,
Yeah,
getting those
is
out, fleshing
ing.
those out. Yeah,
Yes.
is, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
just the activeness. Because I mean, but active. Yes, active
Yes,
voice. It's a hard thing to get used to, especially if you're a prose writer. You write novels and you can write whatever you want. First person, present tense, third person,
right,
past tense,
right.
and
You know what they're
yep.
thinking, and you
Mhm.
can't do that here. You cannot go, she thought she should. Yeah, you
Mhm.
just can't, So,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yes.
Um, yeah, yeah.
So like, shameless plug, but what is your favorite part about writing for ink, especially ink to screen, especially for the 60 page?
You know what? I do love getting the images. I can't wait, because Wednesday's coming, and I
Mhm.
can't wait to get that image. And then usually I go, I take my dog for a walk most mornings, and that's usually when I do my best thinking. So then
Oh yeah.
and I love that. I love being creative and thinking, how am I going to work this scene or this image into a storyline. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of my most favorite things.
Yeah.
And I love getting your feedback. That you give excellent feedback, and I've learned a lot. Yes, I've been doing this for I don't know, probably what, a year and a half now, or
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Wow, you came right on board when I restarted. Yes.
Yeah, and I did it before too. So
Yep.
yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's been great. It's been
Hmm.
wonderful.
Well, in the winnings from the short feature, you got another year. So I'm like, gonna have to go
Right.
all the way into 2025.
Yay.
So
Who
yes.
knows what I'll be writing, right? I'll be doing some sci-fi thing.
Oh
That's
yes, to
one thing I've
push.
never really written.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
that would
science
be,
fiction. Yeah,
yeah, that would be
science
cool to
fiction
write.
is hard. Well, thank you
Yeah,
so much
yeah.
for doing this interview again, Shirley.
Well, thank you, Amber. It's been a
All right.
pleasure.
How amazing was that? It was really hard for me not to kind of tear up a little bit or think about how she was able to really build on her confidence as a writer. And that is literally the entire reason I started Ink to Screen, the short screenwriting challenge, the 5 page challenge, and now my short feature challenge. I'm so happy that Shirley was able to find that confidence and create a story that I hope we get to see on the screen because it's incredible. Now, Shirley, like I mentioned, has also won one of our monthly short screenwriting challenges, and you can read her short feature and the other two finalists and all of the past winners of our challenges. If you want to see some really amazing scripts, read some really amazing scripts. Again, the scriptmistress.com/ink winners. And stay tuned. We will have another chance at the short feature challenge again this year, I promise, coming up very soon. So just pay attention to that. The January short screenwriting challenge is finishing today. It is Sunday. They're finishing their writing today, but check out the fun for February. February is open for registration. You just can head over there and get ready and get registered to start writing in February. You never know what you'll learn about your own writing. Now, my writing action, again, I made a great download for beginning writers. Review the formatting basics guide I provided for free. You can download it on this page, on the page of the scriptmistress.com/scene53. Use this guide to go over any scripts you've already started. We all started from the beginning at some point. Feel free to share some of your thoughts or ask questions on the Facebook page at Ink to Screen on Facebook, or email me at amber@thescriptmistress.com to get extra help. I really hope you go back and listen to my series that I've started. If you're a beginning screenwriter, the past 2 episodes, I talked about, beginning screenwriting and then formatting, and I've provided this guide to really help you out in the next episodes. When I'm not interviewing winners, we'll really be going over that. I really hope that helps you out as a new writer. It's something I never had starting from scratch, and a lot of these writers that I interviewed really didn't have that either, so I really hope you enjoy that. So sign up for the February 5-page short screenplay challenge at thescriptmistress.com/ink to screen. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Thank you, Shirley. So glad I got to interview you again. You are a delight. I love reading your scripts. I can't wait to read more. And again, your guys' feedback means the world to me. So if you have any podcast ideas that could be helpful, feel free again to email me at amber@thescriptmistress.com. Remember to like and follow this page, show, wherever you are watching or listening. And until that next time, happy writing. Thank you.